In the verdant lands of ancient India, amidst the whispers of the wind and the serene flow of the Ganges, a profound and timeless spirituality took root, blossoming into the world's oldest living religion, Hinduism. This intricate tapestry of beliefs and practices woven over millennia holds at its heart the eternal quest for understanding the cosmic truth, Dharma. Hinduism's story is told through its sacred texts, which guide souls toward enlightenment. Its pantheon of deities, including Brahma the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva the destroyer, personify the multifaceted nature of existence. Yet beyond the myriad gods and goddesses, Hinduism teaches the unity of all life, encapsulated in the sacred symbol of Om. It's a journey that transcends the material, seeking moksha, liberation from the cycle of life and death, inviting all who wander its paths to explore the infinite facets of the divine and the self. Through vibrant festivals, meditative practices, and the pursuit of righteousness, Hinduism offers a myriad of paths to the divine, affirming the profound diversity within its unity. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What the Religion. So, this is officially our first episode. I'm sitting here in my tiny closet, trying to produce this for you. I'm super excited to be here. We are gonna talk about Hinduism. Now, I don't know anything about Hinduism. I don't know anything really about a lot of different religions, which is why I'm starting this podcast. I want to learn and I want to grow, and I want to hear everyone's beliefs. I think it's so interesting to talk to people about what they believe, why we're here, what they think is gonna happen when we die. Like, I think it's very fascinating, and I think everyone, even if you're part of a bigger religion, I think everyone has a little take on what they think is what's gonna happen. And truthfully, nobody really knows, right? We're all just kind of here guessing. And so I've decided that the first religion I really want to look into and kind of get a hold of is Hinduism. Now, Hinduism, they call Sanatana Dharma. Now, I just want to preface this with I am going to mispronounce absolutely everything because I don't speak this language, and I'm just someone from Utah. I don't know. I don't know how to speak this, which is why I want your guys' help. I want you to be very active in this learning journey. So Sanatana Dharma also means the ephemeral way of right living. So this word, the Hinduism, the essence is kind of a way of life. It emphasizes righteousness, moral values, the pursuit of truth, and really enlightenment. And so kind of where I'm going to start is where did it come from? Where did Hinduism start? Who started it? Kind of its origins. So Hinduism can be sort of traced back about 5,000 years, which makes it one of the world's oldest living religions. Now, does it make it the world's oldest belief? I don't know. But it is one of the largest out of the five largest religions. It is the oldest. So it came about between 2300 BC and 1500 BC in the Indus Valley, which is now near modern day Pakistan. And so they had a period from around 1500 BC to 500 BC, which they call the Vedic period. So they have a religious text called the Vedas, which we're going to dive into it later, so don't worry about that. But this is where the oldest scriptures, the Vedas, were formed. And these scriptures were taken from a lot of different spiritual texts. They talk about rituals, kind of the Hindu practices. They have hymns, philosophies, and things like that. Now, the majority of Hindus live in India. There's about 1.2 billion Hindus in the world. And they mainly live in India. So about 1.1 billion live in India. Whereas kind of everyone else lives in Nepal, Indonesia, some Western countries, and also, everywhere else in the world. I think this religion and many religions span a lot of different areas. And that's about as much as I'm going to cover about the history. I don't want to get into too much about the history. I'm more interested in beliefs and how they do life and what they think is going to happen when we die and how they feel about God and all this bulk of the religion. So if you want to know more about the history, this is not the place to come. Okay, so now moving into some key figures. So this is something that I found very interesting about this religion and what I think is super cool. They don't have a single founder. They don't have a single prophet. Currently today, they don't have a single leader. It kind of came about from everyone, from multiple different texts and teachings and traditions accumulated over this entire time it's been living, which I think is such a unique thing, and that is not usually from what I've heard. Usually the religions that I've seen or looked into, they have a founding father, a founding prophet, and I think it's very cool and something that I haven't heard, that it doesn't have that. It's an accumulation of a lot of different people, a lot of different texts, and I think that's something that's really unique actually about this religion. Okay, so even though there isn't a central prophet, there have been people who have come about and kind of how it evolved. So the Vedas, as we talked about briefly, they said that they were believed to be revealed to ancient sages, which are called rishis. In a deep state of meditation, they were revealed to them, and saw the eternal truth, which is called Sanatana Dharma. And they revealed this truth through their hymns and teachings. And also there have been a lot of philosophical schools that Hinduism has produced that allow followers to learn and to develop these teachings. And they also have something that's called an avatar. So avatars are said to be divine beings or deities that come to Earth in various different forms. A prominent one is named Vishnu. It's said to incarnate in times of cosmic imbalance. And avatars like Rama and Krishna, which play vital roles in the Hindu scripture. And so, moving on kind of in this avatar way, there are a lot of deities. So kind of moving into sort of god or goddesses like teachings. They have 33 supreme divinities. And there's some that are more known, some that are more worshipped, called the Trimurti. Now, I'm so sorry that I can't pronounce these words, and I wish that I knew how, and I really want to know how. So if you know, please fill out the Google form in the show notes and come on and teach all of us. So these three gods, the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So these are the three main um, deities that the Hindus worship. So Brahma is the creator god. He's responsible for the creation of the universe and all of its living beings. Um, he's often depicted with four heads, which symbolizes the four Vedas. Again, the most ancient Hindu scriptures, which we will get into. So there's Brahma, and then of the three, then there's Vishnu. They are the preserver or the sustainer of the universe. So they're usually worshipped for the role in maintaining order and righteousness, Dharma, often depicted as lying on the serpent Antana with the goddess Lakshmi at his feet. So he's kind of in control of restoring the cosmic balance. And then the last of the Trimurti is Shiva. So they're known as the destroyer or the transformer. So destroying the universe in order to prepare for its renewal. And he does a cosmic dance in the rhythmic cycle of creation and destruction. And I will post pictures of these on social media so you guys can kind of get a better look at how they look and what they represent. Some other major deities that Hindus worship are Ganesha. So this is actually, I've seen this one, and I'm saying this because I don't know if these gods are men or if they're women or if they can be either. So the Ganesha is elephant-headed, son of Shiva and Parvati. So this god is revered as the remover of obstacles, the patron of arts and sciences, and the deity of intellect and wisdom. So he's usually worshipped at the beginning of any venture for success and guidance. And then moving forward to another deity that is often worshipped is Lakshmi. This is the goddess of wealth and fortune, prosperity. She is also celebrated during the festival of Diwali, which we will also get into. And there's many, I mean, they have 33 main deities that they worship, and there's many different reasons why you would worship each one. I think kind of like any religion that has many gods to it, you can kind of pick and choose to what you're feeling in the moment or to what you need in that moment or in that life stage. Throughout your life, you can have an affinity towards a certain aspect of the divine. And that can kind of guide your inclination to different choices of deity, your path of spirituality. So Hinduism teaches different spiritual paths, and each Hindu can choose a deity that aligns with their chosen path. There's also different cultural and religious influences that kind of guide this. So local traditions, the worship of certain deities is often emphasized in specific regions of India due to historical or cultural reasons. And also different family traditions can really move this as well. So if you grow up in a household, maybe your mom or your dad really enjoys a certain deity or has worshipped a certain deity throughout their life, maybe you'd be more inclined to worship that deity. Or, for specific desires or needs, also a lot of deities have their own festivals or occasions. So during that time of the year, you'd obviously pay more attention to that certain deity. And so that's kind of what is God. So the main, I guess you could say, God or Godhead is the Trimurti, the three, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Those, and then obviously you have the other 33, just in case you're wanting something more specific, perhaps. Um, okay, so even though, as I said, Hinduism doesn't have a specific prophet or leader that they currently follow or really have ever followed, they do have different temples and schools and things like that they need. They need people, they need clergy to run these, to have the clear roles and responsibilities. So they do have a sort of structure within this. So we're going to get into this a little bit. So they have a priest, which is called pandit or pujari, so in short, puja. So these priests sort of act as a mediator between the divine and the devotees. They're often well versed in ritual practices, Vedic mantras, and correct procedures for conducting pujas, which is worship ceremonies. So their role is crucial in temples where they conduct daily worship, special pujas, and seasonal festivals. They also perform rituals in homes for various occasions, like a wedding or a housewarming. Actually, a housewarming ceremony is called a griha pravesh, and some other rites and passages. So they're kind of the leader in these temples and in these practices. So this role is traditionally, the roles and responsibilities are kind of usually passed down through family lines, so from father to son. They also now kind of hold different trainings in Vedic schools, where you can learn to be a pandit or a pujari. Now they also have spiritual teachers called a guru. These spiritual teachers kind of lead a disciple. So a disciple is called a shishaya, and the gurus lead the disciple on the path to enlightenment. The relationship between the guru and the disciple is often deeply personal and spiritual, and usually transcends a simple teacher-student dynamic. So gurus really impart their knowledge through direct instruction, example, and initiation into these deep spiritual practices. So they kind of can take on diverse forms. They can be within households, they can be a head of a community, and they might specialize in a particular path of Hindu, and which we'll get into, but briefly, there's 3 different Hindu paths that you can take. First being the bhakti, which is devotion, the jnana, which is knowledge, or yoga, which is union with the divine. Now, that might mean very little to you right now, but I promise once we get more into the teaching, we'll go into that. So a guru is often considered essential in the spiritual progress, and with the belief that their grace and teachings can lead to moksha, which is the liberation from the cycle of rebirth. So moving right along to the monk, I'm sure many of you have seen or heard of a monk. And I kind of picture this, I have a picture in my mind that's probably very incorrect, but I actually went to Greece last year and went to a monastery. Now, I could not tell you what religion this monastery was. I'm sure many different religions have a monastery, but they were on these cliffs. They were just hanging off of these cliffs, these huge buildings, and it looked so peaceful. And these monks would live there, and they would practice there. I wasn't actually allowed to go inside because I wasn't wearing a dress. I was wearing shorts, and they actually turned me away. And I wish I had known this. And at the time, I wasn't happy about that. I wasn't happy that they turned me away because I had hiked up this giant mountain to go in and see what they're doing, and I was upset that they turned me away. But now, as I'm looking more into religions and practices, and these places, they hold so sacred, um, and I should have been more knowledgeable. I should have been more, I guess, reverent to their practices, even though I don't practice, or maybe we believe in different things. I was going into their space, and I shouldn't have been angry or upset. I should have learned and kind of took that as a learning experience, which is what I'm trying to do now. So going back to this, monk is also called a swami. So swamis have taken vows of celibacy and a vow of detachment from the material world. So they dedicate their entire lives to spiritual practice, meditation, and the service really of humanity. So swamis often live in ashrams or monastic communities, though some actually live as wandering monks. So they travel the world and kind of teach in that way. So a lot of them are teachers. They share insights from the Hindu scriptures. They conduct spiritual discourses and guiding seekers. And they really play a pivotal role in preserving the Hindu spiritual teachings, both within India and also internationally. So the title Swami is usually bestowed upon initiation into a Mosaic order, so signifying a commitment to a spiritual path and renunciation of worldly ties. And we'll get into this very shortly, actually, of how you can do this. If you're very interested in becoming any one of these, we're going to talk about how you can do that. So, the next sort of role in Hinduism is a teacher or a scholar called Acharya. So they are people who have attained a deep understanding of the Hindu scripture, philosophy, theology, and their role really is teaching. They can also engage in research, writing, or really interpreting different sacred texts. So they often lead educational institutes, so they mentor students in advanced studies, and they participate in a lot of public discourses on Hinduism. So if you are an Acharya, please teach me how to say that. Also, please come on the podcast and teach me everything. So they kind of contribute to the intellectual, spiritual life of the community by making wisdom of the ancient text accessible and relevant to contemporary seekers. There's a lot of different fields that this role sort of spans across, including Vedanta, yoga, Sanskrit literature, other Hindu philosophical, that's a hard word, schools. They also play a critical role in preserving the Hindu knowledge, traditions, and sort of guiding the next generation of scholars and practitioners. Now, that was a lot of information just kind of thrown at you. So going back over it, we kind of have a pandit or a pujari, which is the priest. a guru, which is a spiritual teacher, a swami, which is a monk, and an acharya, which is a scholar or a teacher. So if any of these sort of stuck out at you, maybe you're learning about Hinduism and you think it is very interesting, and you kind of want to become more or have a larger role. We're going to go into kind of how you can do that. So the path to becoming a priest, there's a big part of it is being hereditary. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to everyone, because if your father wasn't one, or someone in the family wasn't one, obviously this can't be passed down to you, right? So this way often happens when the knowledge and the duties of the priesthood is passed down from father to son within this specific families. This system ensured a continuity of ritual practices and religious teachings within communities. So that was kind of how it began, but sort of as it grew and got larger, there's now formal education. So with the changing dynamics of society and the need for standardized religious education, a lot of institutions now offer formal courses in Vedic studies, Sanskrit, and the ritual practices of Hinduism. So graduates from these programs can become priests, even if they don't come from the traditional priestly families. So it also, there's a certification and an initiation. So some temples require priests to undergo certification, and this process assesses their proficiency in rituals, mantras, and kind of the ability to conduct ceremonies. So in addition to the academic and practical training, initiation by a senior priest or guru may also be a crucial step. So this is marking their formal entry into priesthood. So if you're interested in becoming a priest, it seems pretty difficult. But if this is your life path, I mean, there are ways to do it. You don't have to come from a family. You can learn and you can go through the initiation process. So, and moving on to the path to becoming a guru or a swami. So, the title of guru or swami is more closely tied to an individual's spiritual attainment and personal realization than to a formal education. So it kind of signifies a deep understanding of Hindu philosophy, mastery over spiritual practices, kind of the ability to lead others on their spiritual journey. Again, a guru is someone who helps someone else on their spiritual journey. A lot of gurus and swamis are part of a spiritual lineage that kind of traces back to revered saints and sages. Initiation into a lineage by an existing guru is a critical step where the disciple is formally accepted and given spiritual teachings and practices to follow. So this process often involves a transfer of spiritual energy and blessings from the guru to the disciple. So within the community, there's also a lot of recognition that comes with this. So a spiritual organization, a guru or a swami often comes after years of dedicated practices and teachings and service. The recognition is not merely a formal acknowledgement, but also a testament to the individual's spirituality, maturity, wisdom, and the ability to guide, which is, a huge piece as a guru, or a swami, which is a teacher. For many, the path towards this involves a period of renunciation, so intensive meditation, pilgrimage, and study under the guidance of established spiritual teachers. This journey is usually very individual, with the aim of achieving self-realization and the capacity to inspire spiritual awakening in others. And so there's there's a few of how to kind of get into that. If you're wanting more within the religion, um, that's how you sort of get into those higher roles. Now, obviously, a lot of people may not want to have a higher role, or don't feel the need, and they just like practicing at home. So kind of a Hindu, how they kind of practice at home, like how do you be a Hindu? How do you practice? Um, so sort of a big way of practicing Hinduism in your home with your family is performing daily worship called puja. So this often involves personal shrines. Many households maintain a personal shrine or altar for their daily worship. This space is usually dedicated and to a chosen deity, as we talked about. Um, this is where family members can offer prayers, flowers, and sometimes food, even. And they will often perform these rituals and prayers. And a daily worship practice might include lighting a lamp, reciting mantras or prayers, and performing arti, which is a ritual of offering light. These acts are often expressions of devotion and a means to sanctify the home and sort of your daily life. Um, Also, there's a lot of different community religious events. So, festival observances. Hinduism is rich, actually, in festivals, each with its own set of rituals, stories, customs, and the layperson can participate in these festivals, which often involve fasting and feasting, temple visits, any ceremonial processions, and there's a lot of community involvement. So, fostering this sense of community and this shared identity, I think, is really important. This includes organizing and attending gatherings, kind of contributing to the community feasts, and the religious observance. And so Hindus follow a pretty great ethical practice, I think, which is truthfulness, nonviolence, and charity. So, these three are really the cornerstones of Dharma, which is the moral law that guides individual conduct and social harmony. So these principles not only shape their people's personal character and spiritual development, but also influence societal norms and values. So getting into it, truthfulness, which is called satya, which is the foundation of trust. It's considered essential for the integrity of one's soul and the foundation of all social interactions. It fosters trust within families, communities, really all forms of relationship. Speaking the truth is also seen as a form of spiritual discipline that purifies one's karma and aids in the attainment of moksha, which is liberation, which is what all Hindus are trying to get to. The practice of satya or truthfulness goes beyond mere factual accuracy to encompass living a life that is true to one's highest self and principles. So the practice of satya may be balanced with nonviolence, which we'll talk about, as the truth should be spoken in a way that don't harm others. So you don't want to just be speaking out there and kind of not maintaining your words, obviously, because that goes against the other nonviolence sort of principle. So the balance between the two requires wisdom and discernment, making the application of satya a thoughtful and compassionate act. So nonviolent, which is also called ahimsa, is the principle of causing no harm, either physically, emotionally, or mentally to any living being. So this kind of underpins the vegetarian diet that many Hindus follow, and sort of the influences and attitudes towards animals and the environment. So it's not just people, it's animals, it's insects, it's every living being. So this kind of extends throughout thoughts and our words, advocating for a life of kindness and empathy and peaceful coexistence. It's considered the highest dharma, and it's pivotal in personal conduct and the kind of the broader ethos of social justice. This nonviolence principle has kind of inspired global nonviolent movements for civil rights and independence, kind of most notably led by Mahatma Gandhi in India's struggle for independence from British rule. So the kind of the third principle that they hold dear is charity, which is also called dana. This involves giving to those in need, kind of supporting communal and spiritual institutions. It's an expression of compassion and empathy, kind of reflecting a recognition of the interconnectedness of all life. So there's a few different types of giving, sort of charity. It's not limited to financial aid, but includes sharing knowledge, offering emotional support, volunteering your time and your skill, any skills that you might have for the welfare of the community around you. Giving is seen as a way to purify one's wealth and to accumulate positive karma. So it aids in spiritual growth by reducing attachment to material possessions and cultivating a spirit of detachment and generosity. So the detachment part of things is kind of a big thing within Hinduism. And when I first started looking at this is a great segue into our book that we're reading together, the Bhagavad Gita. If you guys have gotten it and started reading it, when I first started looking into Hinduism, the idea of detachment from material things kind of scared me. If I'm being honest, and because there's so many things in life that I want, and a lot of them are material things, right? And I think a lot of people can sort of relate to that, and the idea of detaching from that was sort of nerve-wracking. Reading this book, if you guys have been reading along with me, pages 13 really through 67. And I was also afraid because the detachment is also with people, and I was thinking, well, does this mean that you can't love someone? But then I was reading on page 54. It says, by detachment, I mean that you must not worry whether the desired result follows from your actions or not. So long as your motive is pure, your means correct. Really, it means that things will come right in the end if you take care of the means and leave the rest to him. So really, detachment is you aren't worried about whether something will come or whether it won't come, which I think is very scary, but it also I think can be very beautiful, because there are so many times in life where you're let down, where you think something is going to happen and then it doesn't happen, and there's a lot of disappointment that follows from that. And I think that this is a way that you can move beyond that. And so we will get in more into sort of that teaching more in depth a little bit later, but I did sort of wanted to touch on it, so it's, you don't have to be afraid of it. It does go deeper. There is love there. There is hoping for things and wanting things, but it kind of goes more than that. So sort of moving into the different spiritual practices that Hinduism can take in meditation, in yoga, and pilgrimage. These are big things that Hindus really cherish. So meditation is dhyana, it's called. This is practice to quiet the mind and achieve an inner peace. So realizing the self's union with the divine, which is Atman, and it's called Atman with Brahma. So regular meditation really aids in reducing stress and improving concentration, sort of fostering a deep sense of well-being. And there's many different techniques that you can use as a Hindu, and different sounds and phrases. It can really go deep, but mindfulness and meditation is really what you're looking for there. The practice of meditation is described in a lot of Hindu texts, like the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras. There's a ladder outlining the 8 limbs of yoga, which is it's a crucial step. And this kind of goes along with yoga, which is more than just a physical exercise. So it's a holistic discipline that integrates physical postures with your breathing control and meditation. So ethical living to achieve spiritual awakening and harmony between your mind and your body and your soul. There's several paths of yoga, so each suited to different temperaments and spiritual goals. These include karma yoga, which is the yoga of selfless action, bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion, jnana yoga, which is the yoga of knowledge, and Raja yoga, which is the royal path, or encompassing meditation and moral principles. And so for kind of the final part here, in the first episode, I wanted to go into sort of a day in the life of a Hindu. What does it look like to be a Hindu throughout your day? And this is sort of the last thing we're going to touch on for the first episode here. So waking up. What do you do when you wake up? The day usually begins early, with family members waking up before sunrise to cleanse themselves. This often involves a bath, which is considered purifying and is actually essential for preparation for performing puja, or worship, or meditation. So many families conduct a morning puja at their home shrine, which typically involves lighting a lamp, offering flowers or food, and reciting prayers or mantras. This ritual is seen as a way to invoke divine blessings for the day ahead. Meditation and yoga may also be part of the morning routine. So along with worshiping at the shrine, meditation and yoga are also usually incorporated. So after the morning rituals, the family usually gathers for breakfast. This meal might include traditional Indian foods. Of course, if you're from India or around the area, it's probably more likely that you'll have Indian food. If you're from America, you'll probably have, eggs. But then during the daytime, adults will go to work, children, school, and often many devout individuals usually take a brief break during the day for a short prayer or a visit to a local temple. Now, lunch can be a significant meal, especially in rural areas where the workday may align sort of more with the agricultural lifestyle. So in urban settings, family members might have lunch separately due to work and school schedules, but it is usually a pretty significant meal. Then in the evening, it marks another common time for family worship, so similar in the morning puja, but often shorter. So lighting of the lamp at dusk is a widespread practice symbolizing the removal of darkness or ignorance by light, knowledge. Dinner, the evening meal is an important time for the family to gather, share their experiences of the day, and enjoy a meal together. This is often the main meal in urban families. And then after dinner, children will probably do their homework, adults engage in leisure activities, and before bed, some families might engage in a brief prayer or recitation of protective mantras. The reading of religious or spiritual texts is also a common practice for those who follow a more disciplined practice or spiritual path. Now, obviously, this varies between families and also varies between how devout you may be, how strict you may want to be. But I think that kind of, gives you a better sense to what it may look like. Obviously, many religions have many different ways they observe, and I think it's interesting to kind of see how similar your life might be now to how someone of this faith might currently be living. And kind of look at those differences and also look at those similarities. I think it's is a lot easier to relate to someone if you can kind of see both of those sides. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about, right? This whole thing is about learning and kind of opening up your mind to a different way of life. Yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. That's the first episode. We talked a whole lot about Hinduism, and so next week we're going to take a little bit of a break. I kind of want to go back and forth between sort of this heavy information type set to kind of a lesser known religion, kind of a smaller one that'll just take one episode. That's very interesting and maybe something that you have never heard of, a practice that you've never heard of. And then for the following week, we'll get back into Hinduism and kind of go further into what they actually believe, kind of afterlife, and the belief system that Hindus have. And that's kind of how it'll go. Now, I really want you guys to get involved. I want to hear from you. And so I'm going to be putting up episodes as much as possible with you guys. So if you are a Hindu, please drop your name in the Google form that I have. I would love to talk to you. I would love to hear your thoughts, how you practice. If you are a starting practitioner, if you are have been practicing for your entire life, I would love to hear any and all perspectives. And also, if you don't practice Hinduism, if you practice a different religion, if you practice no religion, but you have a belief, drop your name in the Google form. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your different beliefs. I want to hear what you think about. I want to hear what you think is going to happen when we die. I want to hear what you think is happening currently as you're living. I want to talk to you. So if you want to talk to me and everyone else who's listening, put your name in and let's have a call. Also, if you're reading along in our book here, I have it here in front of me. Next, we're gonna read The War Within. So this is well, maybe we should read it to a few. So we're gonna read pages 71 to 99. So this covers the war within and self-realization. So 71 to 99 if you're reading along with me. I'll be starting a Patreon soon. So if you want to get on that action, I'm going to be sending out stickers and every month a new sticker depending on sort of what we're learning about here. And also I'm going to be jumping on a live stream that you guys can join, and we're going to read parts of the book together and talk about it together. So if you want in on that, check out my Patreon, follow me on TikTok at What the Religion. I will be posting pictures and things like that. about each religion we're sort of looking at. Thank you to anyone who listened, even if it was just one person. I'm happy to have you, and you should come on and talk about what you believe, because I really want, this is not just about my journey. This is not just about me trying to find a spiritual path. It's about everyone, and it's about learning new things, and nobody knows what's going to happen in the end, so we might as well, try to speculate. Anyway, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.